excitedly introduce Grace. Grace Hauser is the Market and Vendor Relations Manager at Green City Market in Chicago, Illinois. They have worked on farms for 10 years, and they come to their role with a passion to build strong partnerships that uplift local markets and strengthen the local food system. If Grace isn't at the market, you can find them riding their bike, playing banjo, or cooking meals with seasonal bounty. Amazing. I'm going to end this poll and let you all know that we have one person in the room that has sold at a farmer's market. Everyone else is interested or unsure if it's right for them. So this is going to be a really great conversation to dig into. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Oops, don't need to do that. All right, Grace, you're up. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
My gosh, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering the poll. Christine, please keep an eye on the chat and just pop in if there are any questions. Yeah, I'm Grace. I live in Chicago. I work as the Market and Vendor Relations Manager at Green City Market. We have 2 locations during the summer months. One is in Lincoln Park, close to the Lincoln Park Zoo, if anyone's familiar. And the other is in West Loop, close to a park called Mary Bartlemy Park. They're different in their sizes, but there's a lot of overlap with vendors. And it is just such a joy to work in the farmers market space. And I'm getting so excited to get back outside. We have been indoors we have an indoor farmers market. So we've been indoors since December, which so grateful that we can all still like commune over food once a week, even in the winter months. But it's just not the same, you know? And I think I'm getting sick of potatoes and carrots. And I am thrilled for the spring bounty that is coming. I've been getting lots of reports and pictures of what high tunnels look like. Okay, potatoes do rot, Christine, but I've eaten so many of them. Grateful for them. Yeah, I guess too, is everyone in this room a grower? Or just like curious about growing? Yes, there will be. I saw it in the chat. There will be a recording. I guess just on a side note, a lot of the farmers have been saying it's felt for them like an unseasonably cooler spring. I'm curious if y'all have had that experience, but I've been seeing a lot of pictures of like row cover, a lot of agribond to try to like warm the soil and speed up the process. But excited to see. All right. Well, without further ado. Oh my gosh, it's snowing somewhere. Stephanie, where are you?
And someone's in the greenhouse. Love
Detroit,
this.
and someone's in the greenhouse.
Give us the goods. Detroit. All right. Not quite spring yet, although snow in the spring is pretty standard, in my opinion.
What are you seeding over there in the greenhouse?
Right now I'm seeding some of my annual flowers. Just got all my tomatoes. I'm growing a multi-variety nursery here for a school district, actually.
Okay, you're inspiring me. I have a lot of annual flower seeds that I really should get seeded.
It's time.
No, it's time. All right. Well, off we go onto this presentation about food access and market readiness. Feel free to pop in, come off mute, hop in the chat, whatever is comfortable. Christine, if any technological issues come up, please stop me. So yeah, a little bit about me. My name is Grace Hauser. I use they, them pronouns, and I love farmers markets. I love farmers, and I love the dirt, and I love being outside. And I just think there's something so special about a farmers market space. I feel like there's a buzzword that has been going around or was going around about like third spaces and how throughout history we have had third spaces within which to gather. One of those for a long time was church. There were more other times there were like community bathhouses. And I think in a lot of communities we're like losing that third space. And I think in my life I have found the farmers market to just be a wonderful third space, to converse, to buy groceries, to pet dogs, to hold babies. You get all of it. So I work as the market and vendor relations manager at Green City Market and come from a farming background and sort of fell into this role, unsure about like leaving growing and have really just fallen in love. So why farmers markets, you may ask? Um, if you would like to, please feel free to put your answer in the chat. No pressure if you just want to be a listener today. But if you're interested in putting an answer in the chat, I'm curious, why farmers markets for you? For me, I believe that farmers markets are a wonderful way for growers to build a customer base, a wonderful way to create wholesale connections with, I know in Chicago specifically, restaurants, wonderful way to make that connection. And it's a great way to like collaborate and commiserate with other growers. Also a really special place for community building. I think, yeah, you get it all. You get it all at the market. Christine, if there are any in the chat that feel shareable, would you mind shouting them out?
Yeah, I'll read a couple here. Farmers markets allow the many to take control of and have input in their food systems.
Yes. Yes.
Stephanie says Eastern Market is one of the best in the country. Gotta visit. Fresh says looking to go back to markets to remind folks or be visible to know who they are, feeling like undercover as a farmer. And he said, I love to see the variety of products available. I also added, I like talking to the people that eat the food that I grow. Do they like it?
Do you like these tomatoes? Should we plant them again?
Right.
Yeah, thanks for all those thoughtful answers. I think
I'll add one flag, which could be helpful in this conversation. Fighting between vendors for space and seniority makes it a pain.
That is such a pain. And actually, I'm glad that someone brought that up. So first I will say, I think, yes, feeling like there is a little bit more power and control and choice in your food system, in your food choices when you're shopping at market can feel really awesome. We'll talk more about how, at least at my market, we're working to create a more accessible farmers market. I think some people feel that they are inaccessible. But when folks are able to shop at the market in a way that they feel empowered and like there's choice, I think the ripple effects are just never ending. And I agree, the politics of a farmer's market are fascinating and something that I am talking about frequently with my coworkers. I am in charge of mapping, and people get very possessive of their spots. And I do think having assigned spots is really important because I've heard of some markets that it's just like first come, first serve. To me, that sounds like chaos. But yeah, maybe we could discuss this at the end. I'd be curious if folks have ideas. One thing we played around with is like a lottery. Like we make a map, but you make the map and you're pulling names, sort of as you go, so that every year it's changing a little. Also, customers like consistency, so that's a tricky thing. But I guess I really hear that piece on the politics feeling tricky. And I also do believe in a farmer's market, if certain vendors are doing well, all of the market is doing well because it's bringing more customers. So the hope is to like decrease competition. I really believe there's space for everyone in the market. Thank you all for those answers. Um, all right. So a little piece about market management. So we're going to talk about like looking at markets, how to figure out what market is right for you. I think something to know when going into the like market searching process is that every market is different. And I would encourage everyone looking to join a farmer's market as a grower to be picky, to be as picky as you can be, because this is your product. This is your blood, sweat, and tears. This is your life, your passion. And I think as much as you're going to work for a farmer's market, they need to work for you. So I think it's okay to be picky, frankly. So some examples of the way that Green City Market runs that may be different from other markets that I encourage vendors to really take a look at if this is right for them. So we try our best to maintain a 60 to 70% farmers to 40 to 30% ready to eat to prepared food vendors. So we pride ourselves on being a farmer first market. All of our baked goods, ready to eat prepared foods, the main ingredients in those products need to come from the vendors. So the idea too with the baked goods is that you're highlighting the bounty that exists in the Midwest and hopefully encouraging creativity. I think too, having a farmer first market, the people are coming, they know they're coming to a farmer's market. People are coming with the intention of grocery shopping. You know, we don't have any crafts, we don't have any craft vendors, you don't see clothes, which I feel like has gotten really popular in the market scene. I would say that that then ends up feeling like more of a street fest or just a market, not a farmer's market. So I think that can be something important to look into. Um, and then at Green City Market, we require all farmers to have a third-party sustainability certification. So some examples are certified naturally grown, animal welfare approved, Michigan Agriculture Environmental Assurance Program. And the idea behind this is that we really want to like uplift farmers that have the future of food top of mind and sustainability top of mind. And it is kind of an ongoing question with like smaller farmers. Not everybody can like pay certified naturally grown to acquire the certification. So trying to hold that in balance. I think though it does, you know, we do what we can to help our farmers secure a third party certification. I think there are so many that folks can find one that fits right for them. Um, but it also does create this customer base that knows exactly what they're coming into. Um, you know, you hear these bummer stories about people buying produce out of the back of a truck and then turning around and selling it at a farmer's market, which always hurts my heart to hear. I think this is another way that we really try to be like, we are serious about our growers. Um, so that is just that is one example of something that I really encourage vendors to think about if that's right for them when they're approaching me to explore Green City Market as an option.
And Grace, can I just add a
Yeah,
question? Someone had
please.
asked, do you partner with those third-party certifiers? Or like, how does this like look in the bigger scheme for markets? Like, they'll all will all markets require this, or it's dependent?
Great question. So we do not partner with these certifiers. We have looked through them and make sure that they like align with our values as an organization. Because that's the other thing I guess I should say about Green City Market. We are a farmers market, but we also are a larger nonprofit. So we do work around edible education and food access. The farmers market is sort of our like public facing program, but we are very much more than a market. Um, and so we do not partner with any of these certifications. It just is a requirement at all Green City Market farmers markets. All growers have to have a third party certification. And there are so many certifications. Like, you know, if you're a meat producer, there are options. If you're growing vegetables, there are options. If you're growing grains, there are options. So we try to give options for sort of what also as a grower you're most excited about and most passionate about. I think too, at certain farmers markets, if you apply for a market that does not have this sort of requirement, we'll talk again, we'll talk about this later, but it could be a cool thing that could set you apart. If you're able to have on your banner or all your produce, or when questions are asked, if you're able to say, oh, we're certified naturally grown, which is a peer reviewed certification process that takes into account soil health and the future of food, that can set you apart in a market. So I do think they're worth looking into. They also can kind of set you up with connect you with fellow farmers who have that certification. So there can be some like peer-to-peer knowledge. Yeah, so that answered the question, Christine.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much. I was just
Yes,
saying in the
of course.
chat that all markets are different, but you will probably experience levels of these requirements no matter where or what you're producing.
Yes, yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Thanks. Keep the questions coming. All right, so a little overview. I wanted to talk about market preparation timeline. And I will also say, I know that on this market preparation timeline, it says a year, 6 months, a month. Don't panic. Don't worry. You're not behind. I think this is like sort of dream world, big picture overview. If you're trying to join a market this season, I know you can do it. I think that this was just sort of a helpful framing for my brain, how I am thinking about things too as the market manager. So a year before market open, you're gathering data. 6 months before, the applying and the planning happens, and then 1 month before, you're really getting ready, full speed ahead. So 1 year before market opening day, start looking around. Which market is the right fit? Some questions to ask yourself. How far do you want to drive? This also takes into account how early do you want to be waking up in the morning? I know Green City Market starts at 7 in the summer. So, we have farmers are generally getting up early anyway, but we have people that are coming from Michigan, Wisconsin to Chicago, and it's a long drive, but people have decided that this market is worth that long drive. But I do think that's a question to ask yourself. Another question, which day is best for you? Would you prefer a weekday? Would you prefer a Wednesday market? Would you prefer an evening market? Thursday evening markets are popular, or a weekend market. Oh my gosh, and look at that typo. I forgot the E. But yeah, I think asking yourself what day is going to be best for me and my farm and my family. I would also really encourage you this summer, if you're still feeling like, I don't know if this summer is the summer for a market, or maybe I don't know which one I want to join right now, so I want to spend the spring looking around. Go visit markets. Walk around, be a customer. Question I put is, are there other farmers? Christine and I were talking, and she let me know that there's a market not far from her farm, and either there's no other farmers or one other farmer. That's something to take into account. Could this be a great opportunity because I've cornered the market and I'm the only one having produce? Or does it feel the opposite? I'm not sure people are coming to grocery shop. But I really think that you have to get the vibe in person. Because it might look great on paper, and then you get there and you're like, I don't know about this one. I would very much encourage you to introduce yourself to whoever is running the market. In the winter, I am looking through a lot of market applications, and having a face to connect to that application, even if it's just a quick like, hey, I'm so and so from Grace's farm, it's so helpful. I think, yeah, always good to introduce yourself to people, and market managers tend to be people too, so you don't have to be intimidated. Look into the market regulations. Generally, you can find these online. If you can't, shoot an email to the market or the market manager. If a market is run by a town or a city, reach out to the local government. But make sure you know what the requirements and regulations are before like putting all your time into applying, again, to make sure it's the right fit for you. And then think about what is going to set you apart from other vendors. We will talk about this more, but yeah, how are you going to like stand out from the crowd or establish your own customer base? How are you going to pull people into your tent? All right, and then 6 months before market, we are planning to apply. So about 6 months before, so you're gonna look into market application timelines because every market has a different timeline. Like some people's applications are still open. At my market, the applications have closed. If it's not clearly listed, again, reach out. A market manager is there to help you. Market managers don't have a job without farmers. A lot of them are volunteers also. Um, but the reason that people are involved in this work is to help farmers. So don't hesitate to reach out if you're not seeing things about clearly listed application deadlines or rules or where to apply. Make sure your business and the market aligns. As I was saying earlier with the third-party certification, make sure that that you have what you need. And again, it's okay to be picky. If you look into the regulations and you're not feeling like it's aligning, that's okay. There's another market out there for you. 6 months before, start thinking about a crop plan because if you've never done a market before and now you're hoping to enter the market space, things are going to change. I think having like, a lot of cut greens, sort of those quick turnover, people love to buy those. Also things that are maybe a little bit more sturdy and stable, like carrots store well. Some people have really hacked zucchini storage. I never really was able to figure that one out. But yeah, when you're building a crop plan, thinking about that. And then consider if you want to add any value add products. Um, do you have a friend down the street who's really good at fermentation that could take some of your carrots and pickle carrots that you could offer at market? I also do want to pause to just say I feel like I'm throwing a lot at all of you. You don't have to do value add. You don't, one thing at a time also. It's okay to just get into market and get your bearings and then the next season value add. But just something to think about. I don't think it's required at all. A lot of farmers do very well without value add. And I guess also in case someone doesn't know what value add is, it would be a product that that you're taking your like raw produce, your raw product, and then turning it into something um more. A lot of our meat farmers will offer tallow, so like tallow balm or tallow soap. We have some farmers that offer, blueberry preserves. So it's just something that you can get a little bit more bang for your buck, but also is work. It might be a little bit more money at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Grace, can I offer
Christine.
a comment from the chat and then also a comment to value add is that takes a lot of coordination, particularly for smaller farms. So it's really important to know your customer base and like confirm that people will buy blueberry preserves.
Yes.
Before you make blueberry preserves. And that's why I think farmers markets are so valuable because you have that immediate response or like survey opportunity to be like, oh, I've been thinking about like if you grow fresh blueberries, I've been thinking about making them into preserves. You can have that kind of Q&A live with your customers to anticipate and plan for stages where your farm can grow in those ways. So especially if you've like are a seasoned farmer but you've never done a market, it's a really good testing ground for some things, like do a salsa, but maybe not like thousands of pounds of salsa and see how the community responds. just adding from the chat that there was a question about Green City Market specifically. Are you anticipating winter applications? Like, for example, I know I've gotten requests for market applications now, like a day ago, but some of them happen way farther in the ahead in the season. So
Yes, for the winter. So our winter market, unfortunately, is invite only for vendors that participate during the full outdoor season. We just don't have the space. I wish we did. We just don't have the space to open it up to everybody. So if vendors participate with us during the summer, they're invited to apply. So it's sort of like a closed application. Um, but our applications for the 2027 season sort of are on a rolling basis until like December 15th-ish they close. So if you my email's in there, please reach out. But if you have any inklings that Green City Market might be something you're interested in, we can coordinate a time you could pop by. I could give you a tour. But yes, unfortunately, applications are closed for this season and indoor market is closed for vendors that are already participating.
Grace, when do those applications open? Are they just kind of rolling until winter, until like December, and then?
For the 2027 outdoor season?
Yes.
Yes, great question. I will at the end of this remind me, I will drop the link in the chat. It's a jot form and it is open now. And we're just sort of kind of slowly compiling, they all just kind of sit in jot form. And then my job in November and December is to start looking through all of the prospective vendors. So you can apply anytime over the course of the summer and fall. Thanks for the questions. Okay, and then 1 month before market open, we are kind of oh my gosh, I was gonna say we're a month away from my market opening, but it's just a couple weeks. We open April 4th is opening day. But 1 month before market open, really getting ready. Like I feel like that is just full speed ahead. Thinking about if you will need to hire market help, and if so, start that process. I would so recommend practicing your display before your first market. We're going to talk about displays. I have some ideas. But yeah, I'd recommend, just you don't even need to like fully stock the display, but maybe lay out a table and kind of visualize like, okay, do I want a tablecloth? How do I want my labels to look? Because the morning of market and the day of, there is so much else going on. The last thing you want to worry about is like having to design your booth. So recommend practicing that before. And then 1 month before, you want to double check that if there are required documents in order to participate at the market, you want those to be turned in. We're going to talk more about these, but some examples that we require are a certificate of insurance, a food processor's license. That's not required for growers, but anybody who's doing ready to eat or prepared food, we need a food processor license. You're going to want to check in, is there anything required if I want to like sample some apple? I know certain markets in the city of Chicago, folks have to get a summer sanitation certificate. It's like a festival certificate to say that you know to wash your hands, really. But the city health department is pretty intense about that. And then do you need a state sales tax license to prove that you are taxing and paying taxes? Again, not every market requires these. These are just some examples of what our market requires. And then if you have social media, start getting the word out. Let people know where they can find you. You can tease maybe what's to come. But that is everything I would recommend thinking about a month before market open. And then just a little bit, and I don't want to get too in the weeds about this with all of you because it can feel like a lot. Um, but just some things to sort of have on the brain, some possible examples that a market manager may ask you to turn in. One example would be a certificate of insurance. It's a COI. They are a pretty common form, a pretty common request of an insurance company. Comes from your insurance, and it would just say that you were covered, you and your farm and your business are covered up to a certain amount in damages. The reason that a farmer's market might ask for a proof of insurance would be to protect the farmer's market. Most markets will have some kind of insurance because it is a public event. But the COI just helps to protect the market from being solely liable should something happen. It also protects the vendors and the farmers from having to bear the weight of who knows what kind of costs, again, should something happen. A food processor license, these just certify that you are producing in a clean, commercially certified, or like cottage food law, you can get your own kitchen certified. It just shows that you are producing in a kitchen, or you as a producer know the rules of food safety and food handling. And this may be required for value add products. So something to keep in mind also with value add, that it can be a big old project. And then state sales tax license authorizes a business to make taxable retail sales and to collect taxes from shoppers. Any questions here?
I have a question.
Yes.
It processed or like let me rephrase. What do most of your farmers, whole produce farmers, do for sales tax? Because I know that there are different rates, and then through the market, does that adjust those rates, or can they continue to charge produce rates which are at 1% in Illinois?
Yeah, great question. I believe that, and I should fact check myself, but I believe that the produce sales tax stays the same. And all of our farmers are like an LLC of some sort. So they are all by state regulations a business. I don't know why I did the air quotes. They are businesses. And so I guess it is just like proof of sales. But yes, my understanding is the sales tax does not change just because it's at market.
Good to know. Also a question for your market manager.
Yes.
Or your insurance person or your accountant. Let's say your accountant is probably the best person to ask. But as a lot of farms are home-based or filed under personal Social Security numbers, just make sure that you keep this in mind when you're collecting income from farmers markets, because if you don't have a sales tax license, hopefully you're putting away that percentage of what you would be. Yeah. And Stephen in the chat, who manages the Fondy Food Market in Wisconsin, says Wisconsin produce is tax exempt, so this is a state by state scenario.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Go Wisconsin. Okay, cool. Thank you all.
And Michigan. All right, Illinois, step up.
All right, hiring, market help. I was talking about that in the sort of like month out, what you're thinking about. I think this is really important. I think it's tricky, but if you need to hire market help, make sure that you're hiring someone who is personable. Like I do believe that the farmers market setting takes a special person. It is both a labor job and a customer service job, to load and unload from a market, to be restocking, to be on your feet all day, to be engaging with customers. Everybody kind of wants their own special experience at the farmers market. And so I do think it takes, a special person, and I think that they exist in plenty, especially if they're getting paid. But yeah, be thoughtful who you're hiring. Make sure that they can tell the story of your farm and business. You've put a lot of really hard work and planning into growing this food. Make sure the person that's selling it, if it's not you, can present and represent well. And be enthusiastic and be friendly and is ready to work outside. I know our market is all weather. Obviously, if there's a thunderstorm, we have an emergency action plan, and we will delay start or break down early. Cannot have people out in the field in a lightning storm. But it also takes a person who can work outside when it's cold, when it's wet. It's great work, but it's not glamorous. So think about these things when you're hiring somebody. All right. So I think this is kind of fun to talk about. I have some examples, but something that I would encourage everyone to think about is like, and I don't mean this in a competition way, like that you have to like one up the other farmers or blah, but you do want to think about what is going to kind of like keep customers coming back to you because you do something different than everybody else, or that they can depend on you for this, or that maybe something that's going to catch their eye when they're walking through the market. If anybody has anything to pop in the chat, please do. What are you excited to offer? Some things that I've seen at our market that work really well. We have like Wholesome Harvest. They do tomatoes, and they will just have, I have a picture. They will just have tables full of tomatoes. We have Tom of Kankakee Valley Homestead, and he does beautiful dried beans. You can always expect when you're at the market, you're doing your grocery shopping, you can get dried beans from Tom at Kankakee Valley Homestead. Maybe you're going to do flowers. People love flowers are eye-catching. People love flowers. That can be a really good one. Herbs. Smith Farms, a farmer with us, they will have a table piled high of herbs. Dill, tarragon, basil, cilantro. I just know if I need an herb, I can depend on Smith's. Ginger is one that has been really cool to see farmers doing, like the baby ginger, and you can leave the long like grass on it. It looks really beautiful. It doesn't take a lot of space to grow. It's a fairly like compact thing to grow. That can be a really fun product to offer that not everyone has. Turmeric, much like ginger. And then like a gourmet lettuce mix. Maybe you have a lettuce mix that not everybody else is growing. So those are some of my thoughts and recommendations. Let's see, are there any recs in the chat? Any thoughts? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I see the medicinal herbal teas from Stephanie. Beautiful. Nursery plants. Yes, big time. Popcorn. That's a big one. Yes. Yes, these are great. And again, you don't need to enter market necessarily knowing this is the thing I'm going to do and I'm going to do it well. I think Christine had a good point that it is sort of like this instant feedback loop, and you're able to in-person survey. But I think it's good to think about how you're going to set yourself apart. Okay, booth setup. I love talking about this one. I think that this is, again, important because we are visual people. And when you're walking through a market, I always compare or encourage our customers to take one lap. I'm at the info booth and people will be like, oh my gosh, where do I start? Who's your favorite? I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't have a favorite, and start wherever. But what I would encourage you to do is just take a lap, look at everything, figure out what you want, smell things, talk to people, and then on your second lap, buy, then commit to buying things. Um, but a beautiful display, and they don't have to be complicated. A beautiful display will work wonders for folks wanting to come in and like talk with you. On the left side of my screen, I think this is sort of, dare I say, a bit of an extra display, but it is a good example. Um, Somebody saved a big old can that they put flowers in. You have peaches spilling out of this crate. Very beautiful. Again, not necessary, but I think that's a fun example. And then on the right side, I loved that they utilized the tent poles to hang things. I think that can be a fun place for dried herbs, dried flowers. You could hang lavender up there. Yeah, just really like utilize the space. And all the flowers are so beautiful, eucalyptus. Um, a recommendation I have is keep your table looking full. Um, obviously selling out is the goal, selling out is the dream. It's all right if you do sell out, but keeping the table looking full, kind of constantly like refilling pints, refilling the table is a great way to draw people in when folks see like a colorful, full bounty. So this is Wholesome Harvest. They grow beautiful tables, and I think it's just really fun to lean into the bounty. Do you have a ton of tomatoes? Fill up your entire table with tomatoes. Fill up, as many pints as you can with Sun Gold. There doesn't, again, like I don't think it has to be complicated, but I do think, peak tomato season, it can be really fun to just fill up your table. Very eye-catching. Use what you've got. So as you can see at the front of this picture, this is a farm, Iron Creek Farm. They're just using the harvest crates or the crates that they're using to transfer their product to market. And there's a couple on the bottom, so they're not putting the food directly on the ground, but they've stacked up crates, put them on top. They've kind of created an aisle. Use what you've got. I think the harvest crates are a lovely way to create some height, to create, maybe some, if you do a U shape with your tables, you can have a little island of something stacked up in the middle. But use what you've got. Because if you're on a farm, you've got what you need to make a really lovely display. Play with height, especially if you only have like one stall space and one table, stacking crates on that table. I think this is one of our vendors, Cager's Greens. He does a really great job of playing with height and then filling the bins. Yeah, I think it's a great option. All right, so before I go on, let me look at the chat.
Oh yeah, we had some real good reminders in there that watching the sun so your produce doesn't melt. People don't like buying wilty kale, I've noticed. So you're always have to like relocate it or pull it, like arrange your stand so that you kind of have a display and then keep other stuff cool underneath. But
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, great suggestion. I also will shout out, where is it? Steven put in the chat that like when setting yourself apart, culturally relevant food of the community shopping at your market. I think this is a great one and something that is so impactful in the market space for multiple reasons. But yeah, in Chicago, we have a lot of folks from different Asian countries that shop at market that cannot find like high quality produce that they're used to seeing. And so we have some vendors that just grow like gorgeous bok choy. We have this one vendor who will grow curry squash, which I believe is Japanese. So Stephen, I think that's a great suggestion. All right, so we are going to talk about different market currencies, something else to be considering when joining market. So I think the obvious ones are cash or card. Another big thing at market, specifically our market, is SNAP, so Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. In Illinois, it's called LINK. WIC checks, Women, Infant, and Children checks, and then FMNP checks, which are Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks. In Illinois, these are distributed to both WIC customers as well as seniors. So folks over a certain age, living in a certain income bracket, can access these checks. That is just an overview. We're going to get more specific. Fear not. So SNAP programs at farmers markets. I am a huge fan of accepting SNAP money at markets. It can double the spending power for your customers. And the more money the customers have to spend at market, the more money that is going into farmers' pockets. It has been just such an impactful program at Green City Market. It also keeps the market really accessible. I do, and I know I said this earlier, but I do think there is this unfortunate thought sometimes that farmers markets can be inaccessible. And I think it's, what am I trying to say? I think farmers markets are so important. I think farmers deserve to be paid. They deserve to be paid enough to live, to thrive, not just to survive. And so I think encouraging everyone to be able to shop at markets is so important. These programs are vital, not just for our neighbors to be able to eat, but for our farmers to be able to continue farming. So this little picture on the side is just an example of how much more shoppers can buy with the link match. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit about how link matching. Link is Illinois' SNAP program. How link matching works at Green City Market. So on the left side, you see these cards. These cards that SNAP customers are given need to be swiped using like a special POS system. So we swipe those cards at the info tent in exchange for vouchers. So folks will swipe their card with us, and up to 25, we can triple that. So at the info tent, I can turn $25 from your link card into $75 to spend at market. One third of that funding comes from Link Up Illinois, which is a grant that we received through Experimental Station that helps to expand SNAP customers' ability to shop at farmers markets. A third of that triple match comes from fundraising that Green City Market does. I think that is one of the benefits of us being a nonprofit, that we are able to fundraise for these programs like this triple match program. And then 1/3 of that match comes from the shopper's link card. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
Grace, Christine.
I was just going to add that there's folks talking about like different language that exists in different states, but most all states have these services available at farmers markets. And I just wanted to flag, like, it's a decision of the market to offer this. But there are alternatives as a farmer vendor that you can do if your market does not implement these programs. So maybe you could elaborate on that, or just clarify. Yeah.
Did you say what are alternatives?
Well, I don't know if that's coming up. But yeah, there are alternatives. So if you're vending at a farmer's market that doesn't like the market doesn't have these double up bucks at the info
Mm,
tent, there are alternatives for farmers to be able to like give their consumers this extra benefit or like the match voucher or etc.
yes. Yes. This is something I would so encourage you to um I would encourage you to encourage your market manager to apply for this program. Um, because as Christine said, I'm telling you about the Illinois specific program, but this does exist in other states. This matching program, this emphasis on allowing SNAP customers to work at market. So I really do think the kind of best route that farmers can take is either joining a market that does SNAP gives SNAP vouchers or does SNAP matching. If the market that you want to join does not already do that, encourage your market manager to reach out. Most of these programs, um, folks want to use the money to give to shoppers at farmers markets. So it is, I don't want to say easy, but you're not jumping through a bunch of hoops to join this program. Like they want to make it easy for markets to utilize this matching. Um, so I guess specifically for reimbursement, and we're going to talk about one other option that farmers can use if their market does not accept SNAP. I think something important to ask if your market does accept SNAP and you can take it. So at our market, it's in the form of these vouchers. Kind of looks like monopoly money. Farmers can't take that and go deposit it in the bank. So what happens is the beginning of market, we hand out vendor bags, kind of like a bank bag that vendors can store all of these vouchers in. Most farmers will count it themselves for their bookkeeping. Then, excuse me, we go and collect our bags for the vendors' bags, the staff, we take it back to our offices, we count the currency, and then we reimburse once a month. I think it's around the 17th. We do a monthly reimbursement to farmers. Um, and so it's tricky because it's not instant. It's not like immediate money that you're walking out of market with in your pocket. It is delayed. Um, but I will say all of our farmers love the program. It truly has been really beneficial. I think people can be hesitant because it's like, wait, but this isn't cash. What is this? And then after a few months, when the reimbursements hit, and you realize like SNAP customers will go out of their way to shop at a market that has ability to utilize their SNAP funds. So I think that's another reason for markets to utilize these programs is it does bring more customers in. And it's just such an important program. Um, I'm looking at the time. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I will say at Green City Market this past November, when the federal government closed and decided not to roll out SNAP funding, like an emergency um, repayment of SNAP money. So there was a pause in SNAP funds. We were really worried about how our customers were going to shop at markets. And again, we're a nonprofit. We were able to very quickly fundraise. We did a like kind of social media campaign, not a GoFundMe. We used something called Give Butter. But we were able to raise like 30,000 plus dollars. So we were able to give out SNAP money to customers. All they had to do was show us their card. They didn't have to take any money off their card, show us their card. And we have heard back from farmers that that was kind of some of their best months of the year. Um, People want to shop at farmers markets, and when you give them the funds to do so, they will. I just think it's such an important program. And it can be confusing, so talk with your market manager or email me. I'll give you my email. I love talking about this stuff. Okay, so this is another example of funds that farmers can accept that do not require your market to participate. So FMNP checks, Farmers Market Nutrition Program checks. They generally come in either $5 or it says $10. I've seen them at either $5 or $10 increments, and you can't give change, which is tricky. So if someone wants to buy something from you, they need to buy $10 worth, or they will not get any change. And these are only eligible for fruit, vegetables, and honey. And these arrive at market. So in Illinois, they are distributed sometime in July by the Food Depository in Wick. Checks expire end of October, and then end of November. Vendors and farmers need to have deposited the checks by then. So in order to accept these checks, and they really are just checks, like you just deposit it directly with your bank. There is no middleman, there is no market. You can accept these checks, deposit them as if they were just a regular old check. So you have to reapply each year, or so vendors apply, and I think actually this slide might be better. So you apply directly with your state Department of Health Services, and they will sort of register you as an approved acceptor of these it is such a tongue twister for me, FMNP checks. And then you can just deposit them directly with your bank. Most of our fruit and vegetable farmers accept these checks because, we get enough customers that utilize them. Honestly, it's kind of a fun time of year because seniors will have, like certain senior homes will bring a bus, and it's just a bus full of folks that have these checks, and it's just always kind of like joyful and fun. It's a wonderful program, and I would encourage, whether or not your market participates with SNAP programs, I would really encourage you to accept these. You really just have to apply, and then you can submit the checks. And so once you're approved, you just deposit them directly with your bank. And you see, this is a good example of how sometimes they come in 5s. I think there was a lot of pushback when they were in 10s because that's a lot of money, and not everybody wants, like, especially if they're the senior version, not every senior wants like $10 worth of tomatoes if you're just feeding one person. So I'm hoping they stick at $5. It might be different in your state, but it's a wonderful program. Keep a look out for that. Okay, and then other currencies at market. Accepting cash versus card. I would say up to you. At our market, a lot of our vendors use Square, which is that little, like, I don't know if you've seen it, that little white square that folks can just tap their card or their phone on. Venmo or Zelle payments are also a cash-free option. I do encourage you to have some kind of cash-free option because depending on where your market is located, I feel like less and less people are carrying cash. I would also encourage you to be transparent. A lot of times there is some kind of credit card processing fee, which that's fine. Just let customers know that there might be a 3% or a 2.5 or a 2% fee in order for that credit card payment to be processed. Most of our vendors will just kind of stick that on their register or somewhere that's really visible. And then also clearly list all prices. If you're pricing out by weight, have that clearly listed. If it's by pint, have that clearly listed. Customers just respond really well to transparency. And also, for what it's worth, I don't know if I should say this, but for what it's worth, don't let people haggle with you. You work so hard. I don't know. I see are vendors with beautiful bags of spinach. And I know that spinach, I've yet to figure out a way that I can harvest spinach that isn't by hand. It is such a labor intensive process. And then customers will try to haggle with them and it's just so disappointing. I'm like, if you want to haggle down $1, I think you should have to come with me and I'll drive you out to this farm and we can go harvest spinach in a hoop house. And then you tell me that it's worth $1 less. Um, just really like you're you're worth you're worth what you feel you're worth, you know? It's okay. Things to consider when thinking about pricing. Christine and I were talking about this earlier. The market day is a long day. Doing that much mental math, not one of my strengths. So think about what will be easiest for you to handle throughout the day. Maybe you're pricing by pint, maybe you're pricing by weight, maybe you have your own little containers, and you can just slap a price on those. A lot of people do it by weight. I think that's a fine way to do it, but that can create lines. Um, just lots to think about. I really also think that you can trial and error it. If one week you're pricing by pint, you're like, you know what? I really think I want to do tomatoes by weight. That's okay. But just some things to think about. Do you want to do everything in increments of $2? Do you want to do everything in increments of $5 to also keep that mental math easier for yourself? Again, it's your business, it's your produce. You can make those decisions. Yeah, I would say like just clearly labeling is always encouraged. And does anyone have anything that has worked well for them with pricing? I'm curious if you find that by pint you prefer, by by weight. If anyone has anything that they want to shout out that has worked well for them with pricing and sales, feel free to um drop that in the chat. Oh my gosh, Stephanie, I agree. People don't haggle when they go to the store. The price is the price. That's so true.
I don't know if this is
Hello.
welcomed, but I do want to say that end of day, one of the things that I've noticed for farmers that bring fresh produce to market is that if you don't sell, you lose. Like, is it going to go in the compost bin? So, like, having clearly marked prices is super important, but also, um, you might have some regulars that like, if I have it left in the last hour, I can be more negotiable with my prices. Or, um, you know, customer tendency is to squeeze tomatoes, and that damages product. So what happens to those squeezed tomatoes? Can you offer a seconds price, like sauce tomatoes, at the end of like the last 2 hours of market? Because it's better for you to sell a high quality product because it's delicious than to put it in your compost bin or have to find time to process it and make it into sauce or something. So yeah, I 100% want to lift up that prices should remain strong and fair for farmers, but also having the market ability to be malleable at the end of your time there is really helpful to move extra product or like relationships with chefs or something like that, so use that as a tool and not a disadvantage.
I love that, Christine.
Yeah. Can I chime in for a second? Can you guys hear me?
Please, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I would turn on my camera, but there's a dog on my lap right now who's being obnoxious, so I'm gonna keep the camera off. Um, so as far as the payment platforms go, I have all of my QR codes for all of the different Cash App and PayPal and all that other stuff, and I think that's, really easy. They can just scan it and pay directly whichever platform they have. But as far as display goes, so when I sell a lot of herbal teas,
Mm.
medicinal herbal teas, and the one thing that people love and is the glass jars lined up with all of the herbs and all of the different sliced and flowers and green stuff. And they absolutely love having it scooped out and weighed in front of them. Now it takes
Mm.
longer. Like some people, they're in a hurry, they just want to grab something, but most people stay and talk for a while when they're looking for medicinal herbs. So it's a really great way to build relationships, and then having them choose their size. I have 3 different size scoops that are priced, 3, 5, and 10 for, the different sizes of herbs that they might want to get or whatever. And, they just talk to me about, well, what does this do? And what is this good for? And, I get to um, it's kind of like an apothecary
Mm-hmm.
booth when I'm there doing it that way, and it draws people in. It's really kind of cool when people see you pulling these sticks out of a out of a glass jar and putting them in a package for them, and you're telling them, that if you eat this stuff, it's going to help with your blood pressure or whatever it is that they're having issues with. And not being afraid to say, yeah, rosemary is totally going to lower your blood pressure, because it will. And that's something that's backed by science and facts. So I think we have to stand proud in the hard work that we do with growing all of this food, and the quality of it, and not sell ourselves short. That's all.
Totally. Stephanie, thank you so much for sharing that. I love the different price scoop ideas. I could also, when you were describing it, I was having apothecary vision, so I'm glad you said that word. But I even love that for like dried beans. Yeah, thank you so much. That was a wonderful add-in. And yes, to Christine's point, it's okay at the end of the day to be like, yes, I will sell you a bag of spinach, but you have to take this one for free. And then customers feel special. Okay, well, I'm glad that this is the last slide because I'm looking at the time and I want to leave time for questions. Please reach out anytime. My email is hauser@greencitymarket.org. The other email that I am in charge of
You get your boots on, bud?
is farmersupport@greencitymarket.org. I can make sure that those are in an email that goes out, or I can put those in the chat too. Yes, thank you, Christine. Either of those emails is perfect. Yeah, and then thank you all so much for having me. I so appreciate being here. I'm sorry if I was really chatty. I love talking about farmers markets. And I could talk about it forever, probably. But yeah, if there are any questions or any tips to share, things that have worked for you, things that haven't worked, would love to hear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Grace. This has been awesome. And as a staunch farmer who has refused to do farmers markets, I think we're doing a market this year in our 6th season. So the timing's just right for me, but for a lot of people, I think, for like thinking about new crops, how are we going to test them with our customers? How are we going to find, ways to expand or sustain our businesses? Those are all really important questions for me. I think farmers markets often come at a place for a very beginner farmer, but they hold such an important place for a multi-seasoned farmer, right? Like at that place where you're like, I think I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to invest. I figured out my place. Like, how can I do this well for a long time? So they're not just for a new farmer or a beginning farmer. They have a role in every farmer's kind of lifetime. So really excited. We got one question here. I'm looking to be a market space for vendors, and someone, I did flag this. I apologize, I forget their name. I think it was Stephanie. But looking
Yeah,
to
I
run
had
a
mentioned
farmer's
it
market.
before.
Yeah. Okay. So like what, on the flip side of being a vendor, maybe what would you recommend for folks that are like looking at a neighborhood that doesn't have a market, and what would they need to consider to implementing one in their community?
Yay, great question. Um, Please reach out because we could talk more about that. But I would say the biggest thing that is coming to mind for me is a permit. So you'll need to reach out to the city or the town to get a permit. I know for our West Loop market, we are in a street, so we had to reach out to the every year we have to reach out to the Chicago Department of Transportation to get a street closure. And then we've also pulled a permit for the park. So we are dealing with both the park district and the Department of Transportation. Another thing to consider is vendor parking. So if you pull a permit for a park, you need a spot for your vendors to park. So you probably will also have to pull a permit for a curb lane closure. And my familiarity is like in an urban setting, so maybe in a different setting, it would look different, but reach out to the city, reach out to the Chamber of Commerce, reach out to like an alder person or a mayor. I really think that farmers markets do nothing but add value to a community. Um, they can truly create like property value increase. So there's a lot of reasons that if you're in a town or a community that doesn't have a farmers market, that they might be interested in that, especially if you're down to do all the organizing. But yeah, what comes to mind is having some kind of emergency action plan. Should there be a storm? Should there be, you know, whatever, an emergency action plan and permits. Sometimes in the permits, they will make you list out your emergency action plan.
Is that like Department of Health things or just municipality
For
thing?
the emergency action
Permits
plan.
or
Permits,
any, yeah.
not Department of Health. They'll come out and like check, like for folks, for example, for folks in Illinois who sell eggs, they have to get a license for egg sales. And like once a season, these two egg guys will come, these egg inspectors will come through and make sure that the eggs are labeled properly and that they're clean. So the Department of Health will just kind of come unannounced and check things out, but all of our permits are coming from the city. So more like on the municipality side of things.
Question.
Yes.
If the market's on my private property and not like a public park space, how does permitting work then?
That is such a good question, Stephanie. You should look into that. The top of my head, I want to say go for it. Like top of I'm sure, I don't
Yeah,
know.
don't tell me that because I totally will. And
I'm just like that sounds
yeah,
awesome and it's your property and you're just
yeah,
hosting like a
yeah. I've
weekly
already
get
got
together.
insurance and everything, right? So I have a food handler's license already. So you
Yeah,
know,
Steph, I just put in the chat that we should connect after this because I know some folks in Burlington,
Hmm.
Wisconsin. Are you from Michigan or Wisconsin? I'm sorry.
I am from Michigan, but I did live in Milwaukee. I actually had a farm in Reedstown in Wisconsin long
Oh,
ago,
nice.
so I'm very familiar with Wisconsin. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's connect because I know some folks that just started their own farmers market on their farm where they had a 24/7 farm stand, and I don't
Oh,
believe that they had to do anything much beyond what's required for like that. But that was in Wisconsin, so there might be different regulations for Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to help you sort through that. Also, I did put in the chat, farmers market associations are state associations, and they are a wealth of knowledge. They help you connect to markets that are already in existence and populated if you're looking to join one, but they also host like some pretty detailed, informative training sessions. I know in Illinois they have like some FSMA and food safety certification trainings, or like market manager trainings are really important if you are going to start your own market. So look at those that are state specific to maybe narrow in on some of the details that you might need for this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
thank
there
you for
isn't
bringing.
one really over here on my side of town, and fighting with the vendors at Eastern Market. It's such an established market. There are like families that have been coming there for generations. So, you know, me and my piddly little, you know, herb farm here, I can't stand up against, you know, it's David and Goliath literally. So, you know, if you don't want me to play in your reindeer games, I'll just go someplace and create my own court. You know, that's the person I am. So, um,
Totally.
there isn't even one over here on my side of town, so I think it would do really well.
Yeah, and there is another grower in this network. I know Fresh is connected with them as well as I in Northern Indiana that has started their own market and been really successful. And they've actually like passed the reins that they did so well. So maybe we
Oh,
can do some peer-to-peer learning here
Yes,
if they're
yes,
open to
yes.
it.
I will take
So
all of it.
awesome. Yeah, cool.
yeah, Christine, thanks for bringing up the Farmers Market Association. I know in Illinois it's ILFMA, Illinois Farmers
Mhm.
Market Association, and it is such a great resource for vendors and market managers alike. So if, you know, if you're not sure where to even start looking, look at your state's Farmers Market Association, and they'll be able to give you some recommendations.
Totally. Well, we are coming close on time. If there are any, thank you, Stephanie, for your email. I'll send you a note. If there are any one final question or comment, we'd love to hear it. Maybe just do a round robin of how you're feeling right now, like what you came in with and what you're leaving with. Will be super great. And I do want to thank Grace for your time and expertise. This is so good. And yeah, we can't, it's going to take a lot to get local food in some brownstone grocery, but we have options to sell food to our community, and farmers markets is right in front of us. So we just want y'all to be successful in your endeavors. Awesome. Thank you, Corey. Feeling confident. Thank you, Stephen, for being here.
Glad you feel more confident, Corey, and truly always feel free to reach out because it can feel like a lot. Leaving informed and strategic. Ooh, what a good word. Ready to go.
Yes. Well, amazing. Thanks, everyone. This will be recorded. We're going to send out a quick little recap with the recording and some of the links that we shared in the chat today. I'm also putting in the chat our next. Ooh, and Fresh gonna be at Green City Market.
Dude, I
Sorry.
love that. I love that.
This is part of a series. So after today, we're gonna head into some crop-specific conversations. We've got sorghum, we've got dry beans, we've got tubers, we've got buckwheat lined up for the summer. And we're gonna close out with a more business-oriented conversations about finance reflections. So looking back at this season and how did we capture what we've done this year and how are we going to use it for 2027 too. So Stephanie, thank you for asking wild rice. We do not have anything planned for this season. We do have some flooded rice learning opportunities on our website. Feel free to check that out, a recording. We will connect with our tribal nations to see if they're interested in sharing some knowledge about wild rice production. So, with this community. Thanks everyone for being here and have an amazing week. Happy spring.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
This
Thanks,
has been
Grace.
lovely. Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate you very much. Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, anytime. My pleasure. And Fresh, if you ever come to visit Green City Market, I'm under a green, if anyone ever comes to visit, anyone, I'm under a green tent. Please say hi. I'd love to give you a tour.
Nice. Beautiful. Yay. Connecting with the community.
Yay. That's what it's
All
all
right.
about. Yeah, you too, Corey. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.